Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1124. Happy Sunday. It's a Sunday Funday. Spring is in the air. Spring training well underway. March Madness begins this week for conference tournaments. So I was talking yesterday about I felt like the Summit League was always one of the first championships, and I think I said they were third. I think they're actually fourth. I think there's 3 championships that are played out on Saturday. So Summit League tournament begins on Friday of this week. Now, the OVC, where my Western Illinois Leathernecks are in, I actually had to turn the game off yesterday. They won and they were winning, but the announcers were way over the top. Very high strung, and I think they're college students. But just very, it was stressful to listen to. Stressful to listen to. So I had to turn it off. But they were saying that the OVC tournament, the Leathernecks are the 4 seed, which is exactly what I thought they would finish in the regular season and hopefully win the tournament championship. So it doesn't matter. OVC, it doesn't matter. They're not getting a what do you call it? What do you call shit? What do you call the when you don't want your a bid, whatever it is? So they're not going to get one of those. It's a 1 bid league, so you win the tournament championship, you're in. So they have to win the tournament championship, obviously. So they get a bye, and they play their first game on, I think, Thursday for at-large turkey cards. Thank you, at-large bid. It's a 1 bid league. Nobody else. Thank you, Uncle Rich. Nobody else is getting an at-large in the in most mid-majors. Some years that will be the case, but certainly not in the OVC. So now that I remember, and I'm like, as I woke up and I'm getting my day started this morning, I was thinking, like, what else? What other tournament? Because there's like the MEAC, or one of those is always an early, like the schools you've never heard of. And then I think the Missouri Valley, right? I think they're like one of the first. I think their championships on Saturday, because usually it's like Saturday, and I'm watching. I'm just flipping through, and all of a sudden it's like the OVC championship. I'm like, holy shit. I can't believe we're in conference tournament season already. So Missouri Valley, I think, is one of the first. So let's see the schedule. Oh, shit. It's not on there. But anyway, we're in conference tournament time this week. Baseball in the air. It's warm. Oh, man, it was so nice yesterday. Biscuit got a walk. And it was like 60, but it was sunny. And it was like, in fact, a lady that was she has like a black bear, like no doubt, like this is like the size of a bear. I'm trying to think of it might be a Newfie. I think it's a Newfie, a Newfoundland, and giant, big bear and they're like teddy bears, like they're giant, but they're just like, oh, hey, I want to lick you. So we saw the Newfie, and the lady that was walking the Newfie was like, it's like a dog show out here today, because there were so many dogs. Rosie and the Chihuahuas, we met Rosie and the Chihuahuas, and Rosie's like excited to see us, because like we run into Rosie and the Chihuahuas a couple times a week, so Rosie knows. So Rosie's excited. And Biscuit likes submissive dogs. Like if a dog runs at her, she's like, get away from me. I'm grouchy. And but if it's like a big submissive dog, she loves that. So she doesn't like dogs like approaching her. So Rosie was doing that, and Rosie's like, oh. And the Chihuahuas are just kind of like, they're Chihuahuas. And they came up slower. So then Rosie took off, and there was a Doberman in the park, like right next to us. And I think his person. I don't like saying owner. His person, his people was giving him like obedience training, or not obedience, but training, like sit, stay, all that stuff. And Rosie like was on a leash, but like took off and like was barking. The Doberman like gets up, like, oh, and the Rosie's owner, I don't know his name. We run into each other like 4 times a week. We just know the dogs. And he's like, that dog will kick your ass. The correct term is his, her, human. There you go. They're human. And there were a lot of other dogs on our walk yesterday. So it was nice. Biscuit doesn't give a shit, but I do. I care. I want to see the dogs. I'm disappointed when we go for a walk. It feels like a wasted trip. I'm going to have to shut the blinds. It's getting bright in here. I feel like it's a wasted trip. Oh, the sun's going down. I feel like it's a wasted trip if we go for a walk and I don't see dogs. Like, man, that was a bummer. There wasn't a single dog on our walk. So that was yesterday. I now for the second time had Pep's Draft House frozen pizza because they have it at Costco. So I picked up a 2-pack because that's what they have in the boxes. And I feel comfortable now that I've had it twice. I feel comfortable in anointing it the greatest frozen pizza ever. Pep's Draft House pizza. Amazing. Get the Prohibition style. It's the best. Pep's Draft House pizza. Google it. Find it in your local freezer section. So I had that for dinner. And I was like, I kind of skipped lunch because I slept in. And so I had lox and bagels for brunch. I did a early lunch, a late breakfast. So it like screwed up my schedule. And it's like, well, I don't want anything for lunch because I ate at like 11. So I like grazed and I had some beef jerky, get a little protein. And that was about it. I think I had a piece of chocolate. So it's like 5:30 and I'm like, God damn, I'm hungry. Shit. So I'm like, I've got that pizza. So I went upstairs and I just told my wife, I'm like, I'm putting a pizza in. And she's like, she had a late lunch. So she's like, I'm really not that hungry. So I'm now going to anoint Terry bought it. Terry bought the Pep's Draft House 2-pack. Very good. Yeah. It may be the best. I think it's my favorite. It's my new favorite. It's got everything. Crunchy crust with layers of cheese and toppings. Delicious. Pep's Draft House pizza. What else did I do? I got a lot of shipping done yesterday. Got really caught up on shipping yesterday. Was very happy with that. And I got to some listing. Now, when I was doing my sorting of all the Bowman that I bought, like 50 to 75,000 Bowman cards in the last couple of weeks, I've been separating quarterback stuff, eBay stuff, and Bowman, like sorting 2023 Bowman draft refractors. I have a refractors box. I have an eBay box. I have 2022 Bowman Chrome, 22 Bowman draft, 23 Bowman draft, 23 Bowman. So I probably won't get those sorted and listed until after I return from spring training. The sun is back. So I started I've got like 75 Bobby Witt Jr. cards. And I'm like, should I lot these out? And I started to like sort them into team. So I thought maybe I will do, because I do have a lot of duplicates, and maybe do like 10 card lots or 8 card lots, 5 card lots. But at the end of the day, I'm just so much more set up for singles. And like I was talking the other day, like I'll make more money in single sales with consistent sales as opposed to waiting for the lot sale. And I'm more streamlined inefficient with doing the single sales. Every once in a while, I'll throw together a small player lot, and those do well. Like, it's not like I list them today and they sell tonight or tomorrow, but they do eventually sell. Kin turned me onto that, and Kin Bean's Ball Card blog. I'm late today. He should be in the where's Kin at? So he's the maestro of the small player lots. And I usually do like 8 cards for $5. And I saw he tweeted some of his sales. Like he sold a whole bunch of, I can't remember what player, like Hakeem Olajuwon or someone like that. And it's like, shit, I need to get on that. So I was like, I've got Adley Rushman, I've got Jackson Holiday, Bobby Witt Jr., Julio Rodriguez, all the Yankees prospects. I'm like, maybe I do some lots. I'm like, you know what? No. And just like this week, somebody asked, what's your most sold player this week? And so it was kind of, I still haven't figured out. I did kind of go into eBay and I searched a couple like reports, and I still don't know. So if anybody knows how to like drill down, like I know how to download reports, but I don't know how to download like specific categories and your item specifics, because I'd like to drill it down to like player or even team. And the reports are basically just sales reports, and it feeds you like your buyer information, which is nice. But I want to use it to search like sort by player most. And I'm pretty sure this past week would have been Robin Yount, because I sold like 25 Robin Yount cards and to the same buyer. So I took that approach. So what I did was, I pulled Jason Dominguez, and there's probably 75 Jason Dominguez cards. And I just sorted out, pulled out the duplicates, because I had somebody buy, and I noticed I've had messages like, hey, how come you have the same card but 5 different listings? And so that's something, as I approach 60,000 listings, I need to be more careful, especially if they're $1.50 listings or 99-cent listings. Stop it, Bo. Stop it. So what I did was I made sure when I'm sorting by player, then I sort by, and you know how I hate sorting. So I looked into the so I sorted by each card and then listed. And then went back and did quantity, which it is now that I'm doing like more quantity. It is annoying that I have to do that in the spreadsheet. It would be much easier if I could do that in Card Dealer Pro. And I understand on the back end, it gives them issues on the tech side, stuff that I don't understand. So, but it's, I can still do it in the spreadsheet, so it's okay. So Jason Dominguez, Adley Rushman, Jackson Holiday, and I've made some sales doing that. I listed some Bowman's Best. Wyatt Langford sold like right away, so I probably underpriced it. What else is in here? There's the Adley pile. Ohtani, listed Ohtani. So I've got who else do I have? I've got Bobby Witt Jr., Julio Rodriguez, Elliot De La Cruz, Spencer Jones. James mentions those. James Woods, Spencer Jones, Anthony Volpe, Roderick Arias. Who else? Brady House. So those are some of the players that I set aside. Paul Skeens. I don't have enough Paul Skeens, so he just goes in my regular pile. Same with Ethan Salas. I finally sold my Bowman Draft Paper Ethan Salas. I had listed for $250, which I did know, like at the time, shortly after release, I think I was just a little too late on that. But I finally did sell, I think 10. I think I sold all. I think I had 10 in my store, and I think I sold all of them to the same person. So at 20 or at $250, so a nice sale. And see, that's the thing with so I price. So that's why I like to do singles more than lots. But I appreciate everybody doing lots now, because it takes the singles, takes more single sellers out of the pool. But like so if I listed 10 Ethan Salas cards, I'm probably listing for like $15 or best offer. But if I list them for $2.50, somebody comes in and buys all 10, you make more money. Does that always happen? Absolutely not. But it did happen in this case. So take that for a win. Let's go into the chat. Dave's in the house. What's going on? Royals 417. Happy Sunday. Jamie's in the house. Good morning. Mikey is here. He's heading to a card show. Very cool. South Bend. Is that the Lake Station card show? I think there's a Lake Station card show, which I believe is in Indiana. Maybe that's the one you're going to. Turkey Cards and Uncle Rich. They were finding the word I was looking for. At large bids. Mikey wants to talk about eBay or card collections. Uncle Rich says even the Ivy League now has a modified conference championship. Terry's in the house. James was in Oak Creek yesterday. Lots of good buys. Very nice. Uncle Rich talking about dogs. The correct term is his, her, human. Art Green, good morning. Donald's in the house. Loafy Joe with a kitty cat. What's up? Terry bought some Pep's Draft House pizza. Charles, gotcha. Good morning. Merle's in the house. Good morning. Brian, good morning. Johnny M, what's happening? Some prospects James is looking at. Paul Skeen, Spencer Jones, Ethan Salas, James Wood. Sheena's here. What's going on? He's headed to a card show on his way to Schaumburg. Good luck in Schaumburg. Kendall, what's up? Started using Car Dealer Pro yesterday. Holy Santa Claus shit. What a difference for listing. I've never heard that. Holy Santa Claus shit. Absolutely. Love it. Cardman Dan, what's going on? Good morning. A problem I constantly run into like that is on sport lots. When I'm listing a lot at once, I always seem to accidentally add 2 cards instead of 1. That was a problem I ran into selling on sport lots. And sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll run into that problem on eBay. And I don't know if it's just if I make I don't know if it's I make a mistake on the count or what. But there was one player Topps Heritage this year, and it's a common. I can't remember who it was, and I actually just sold one recently, and it's like, you got to be kidding! This again? It was a common player, and I had it listed for either 99 cents or $1.50 or $1.75 in my eBay store, and it sold, and I couldn't find it. So I went to my eBay store and I clicked, look for this card. And of course I had like 3 different listings. So I could have swore I deleted. So I pulled it out of 12. So say it was in 1A and it wasn't there. So I look and another one was in 12 a.m. So I go to 12 a.m., pull it, take it down. I could have swore I did that. Then I sell one on 12 a.m. and it's like, it's not there. I look again. It's not there. So I go back to my store, find another one. 17C. Go to 17C. There it is. Pull it. Take down the listing. So hopefully I've solved that issue. I can't. It was some common out of 2023 Heritage or Heritage High number. So I need to avoid that. Rich wants to know how Box 13 is doing. It is still surviving, but I'm going to have to replace it because the bottom is a little saggy. You don't want that. You don't want that. Loafy Joe says, was at the Eau Claire show yesterday. Lots of good deals, and they open again today. So we've got South Bend, Schaumburg, Eau Claire, a glut of card shows. What's up, Zach and Porter? Uncle Rich at work, getting ready to add some fascinating information about the background photos of the 1969 Topps All-Star cards. Interesting. Mikey wants to know, have you got any more collections? Well, I've bought like 75,000 Bowman in the last 2 weeks. So yes, the answer is yes. No collections. The thing is, I don't buy collections. I basically buy bulk. I've probably only bought one true. Well, actually, there was a couple like early on. When I first moved to Madison, I was buying stuff on Craigslist. But I think true collections, I've probably only bought in my life, two like what I would consider collections. The difference now, I've bought millions and millions of bulk. But I think the difference, at least in my opinion, and I think this varies with each person. Rich needs a wrench. Yeah, I can't do the wrench from StreamYard, so I have to go to YouTube. So in my opinion, excuse me, in my opinion, there's a difference between collections and just bulk. So I buy bulk. Let's see. How can I do this? I don't remember how to do this. Oh, there we go. That was easy. All right. Uncle Rich should have a wrench now. Rich with the wrench. So a collection to me is like a true collection. Like nothing has been pulled. Like it's got a lot of junk, but it's got like really good stuff, and it hasn't been separated. It hasn't been pieced out. Bulk, in my opinion, is basically a collection that has been pieced out. Steve, my buddy Steve, who we still see him almost every month at the Madison Card Show. I've bought multiple 3 or 4 things from him since. I bought his like childhood collection. That was a true collection. And then the first thing I bought, the first like bulk that I bought here in Madison was a guy, and it was a small collection. And there was some vintage, there was some random stuff, but it looked like it would have been pretty much, maybe he had some stuff that he pulled aside, but for the most part, it was a true collection. And then bulk, like I said, bulk is just pieced out, like somebody's collection, but it was pieced out, or bargain boxes. Bargain boxes are just bulk. It's not a collection. So that's what I consider the difference. And I think Mikey had a follow-up that we'll get to here in a second. Uncle Rich wants to give a burial for box 13. I went to a 25 table show in downtown Plano yesterday. Nice. That's Texas, not the Reapers in Illinois. The Plano Reapers. If you wrench me, oh, there we go. Uncle Rich posted the link here. There it is. Sports Collectors Daily, Mistaken Identities on the 1969 Top Sporting News All-Stars. Christian, good morning. Can we bring box 13 to the National and have a ceremonial burning in the parking lot? Might get in trouble for a ceremonial burning. Christian wants to know what is going on at ComC with the round of shipping delays. David Arnold, what's up? Go next. Sports Card Radio has a great take on that recently. Is that in regards to ComC? Mikey wants to know how much I usually pay for bulk. There's not like a set price. Typically, I want to be at a penny a card. That's kind of where I land. But obviously it's going to vary. Like if it's, I didn't pay. Mike Cho came and I bought like he had a lot of good stuff. There's autographs, there's refractors, and I didn't pay. Actually, I probably paid pretty close to a penny per card in that. What did I pay for that? Let's do the math. I paid about a nickel a card. So, but that included, Paul Skeens and James Wood, and there were first Bowmans of those guys, and there were autos. So, something like that. Obviously, I'm not going to pay a penny. I'll pay more than a penny. If it's like a lot of junk, I'm going to walk away from 80s and 90s most of the time. Depending on what it is. If it's a 5-row box of 80s and 90s superstars and Hall of Famers, I'll pay $50, which is about a penny a card. I'll pay a penny a card as long as it's Hall of Famers and superstars, because I can still move that and make my money back easily. If it's commons from that era, pass. I don't care what the price is. I don't even want to take it for free. It's just going to take up space, and the space is more valuable. As I've tossed like 20,000 cards this week. If it's, I'll pass on. If it's like Bowman and Topps veterans from like 2014, 15, 16, 17, I'm passing all day. Passing all day because that just not going to move. But if it's like 2010 to 2015 with inserts and heritage and archives, I'll pay a penny a card for that stuff because that's a little harder to find and it tends to sell on eBay. But Top Series 1, Top Series 2 in those years, not going to move. So it just all depends. But typically my rule for just basically like stuff that I can sell in my store for $1.50 to $5, I'll pay a penny per card. As long as it's liquid, as long as I know it's liquid, and that's something that I can't answer. It's like it's liquid in my store. I know it. Some stuff is more liquid than others. So that's kind of how I break it down. Uncle Rich, in regards to the Topps All-Stars, someone did some great detective work. Christian says, I take sports card radio with a grain of salt. Okay, maybe a pound of salt. I haven't watched. There hasn't been like any good. It's a lot of recycled content. Like every week I see their video thumbnail and it's just the same. It's Jeff Wilson and Ken Golden. Actually, no, I don't think they shit on Ken Golden anymore. I think they're in his pocket. Or he's in their pocket, or however that term is. But Backyard Breaks, Jeff Wilson, and it's like the same old tired shit week after week. It's like, I don't care anymore. How many 5 rows is a collection? That's a loaded question. You could have 55 rows and it's not a collection. You could have 1 5 row and it is a collection. It's just based on, it's not based on volume. It's based on what's in there. If there's good stuff in it, I consider it a collection. What if somebody has a collection? They don't have any good stuff. Well, they just have bulk. They don't have a collection. They just have a bunch of junk. Uncle Rich says, yeah, but what they said about it was very accurate and fair. And bought no cards. Brian's been thinking about selling my Michael Jordan cards lately. It seems strange to think about. I've been collecting him for over 30 years. Sometimes you have to make that move. 2 years ago, I would have never considered, it's funny how things work. My Cubs collection, I'm approaching 1 million Cubs cards. And there was a time where I would buy anything Cubs. It didn't matter if I had 25 Ryan Sandberg Topps rookie cards. I wanted 26th. And then as it went on, it's like, let's be a little smarter about this. I have 25 Ryan Sandberg cards. I don't need a 26. I can put that money to use because there's other Cubs that I don't have that I can buy with that money or put that money to work for a card that I can buy down the road. But there was a time where it's just like I'm hoarding Cubs cards. And now I'm to the point where not only am I picking and choosing what I buy, but I'm also considering trading and potentially even selling duplicates that I have, like, Dylan Cease autos. And that's actually one Cub that I have gotten rid of and sold and traded in the past. Because I was prospecting him in 2015, 2016, and then he got good. So it's like, well, I gotta dump him. So I've still got some really good stuff of his, but I don't need 10 base autos. And if I can trade that for something, and I did over the course of time, it's like, okay, I don't need. At one time I had about 20 base autos. It's like I don't need 20 base autos. Now they're worth about $30 a pop at that time. And I traded one for, like, somebody needed a Dylan Cease. They had an extra Miguel Amaya first chrome auto. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have a Miguel Amaya. I'll trade you a Dylan Cease for Miguel Amaya. So now I'm getting to that point where, okay, once I hit 1 million, then I'm going to start organizing better. I'm going to set the duplicates aside so I can use that as trade chips to get cards, Cubs cards that I don't have. And they're going to be separate. Like that's the thing that I like. You don't smoke from your own stash, but Cubs are not part of my business. Despite 1 Million Cubs LLC being my official business, Cubs are completely separate. Cubs might as well be shoes or handbags. They are completely separate. And it's like, well, this is not part of my business. So if I pull an expensive Cubs card, if I buy a case of Tops and I pull a case hit and it's a Cub, well, hopefully the rest of the case is good and I can make my money back, because this isn't for sale. This is going back. This is going into the Cubs collection. Completely separate entities. Cardman Dan says, how do you determine how many cards are in a huge bulk that's too much to count while checking it out? It's all about estimation. So typically in a 4-row box, I consider 2,000 cards in a 4-row box if it's pretty much full. 2,000 cards. Because cards today are a little thicker than what they were in the past. A lot of them may have penny sleeves. Certainly, if it's a full box with penny sleeves, you're only getting 2,000 cards in a 3,200 count box. 5-row box, I'm at around like 3,000 to 3,500 is kind of my estimation. And then 2 and 3 is what, 1,000. So I just kind of guess on that. So it's all an estimation. Like, and that's when I get Cubs cards in. Like when I pick up like David down in Elk Grove Village, when he comes up and, dumps off 60, I got something in my eye, 60,000 Cubs, it's an estimation. So it's like, okay, there's 4,000 cards in this, because a lot of them are junk wax. So those 89 Donruss, you can get a lot of 89 Donruss in a 4 and 5 row box. So it's all an estimate. I don't count. If I get like more than 20,000 cards in a Cubs deal, I'm not counting every single one. It's like, oh, there's 4,000 cards in a box. So, hey, I may be over, I may be under. So if you have a problem with that, you come over and count them. 995,000 plus right now. I've got some to count though. I've got to add to that count tonight. Cooter says, I have been selling my duplicates to fund my collection. I would rather fill holes in my collection than have 2 of the same card. And that's where I'm approaching. Actually, I have approached that. I just haven't decided what I'm going to do. Like, I want to get to that point. I want to get to that point, 1 million, and then I'll get it figured out. And I'm with you. Like, I'm at that point where it used to be all about the quantity, but now that I have the quantity, the goal that I was striving for, very close to that goal, now it's to the point where, okay, I don't need 17 of this. And I can use that to fund stuff that I do need. And there are some expensive cards that I want to seek. So I can use that to build up a fund for something like that. Lofi Joe says, going to a week-long work conference later this week. Been a while since I had to put my eBay store on vacation mode. What's best practice for it these days? So I think you're going to have a different answer to who you ask. I think a lot of it depends on what your volume is. Like what do you typically average? How long are you going to be gone? Here's what I do. And I have a giant store, and it's also my full-time business. So I'm very nervous about shutting down my store completely, because there's several options. There's multiple options that you can choose. You can shut your store down completely, so nobody buys anything for a week, you're gone. You can like soft close it, where people can still buy things and you have your out of office. And I think those are like the 2 options. So then there's other things you can tweak. You can, if you're promoting it like 12%, just drop it to the minimum, which I think is 2%. Just drop it to the minimum and that might curtail. Make sure you have your out of office though, because otherwise, if you don't put your out of office or whatever they call it on eBay, that'll affect your handling time. So if you say I'm going to be out for 7 days, you want to come back and still have your handling time as normal. I have 3-day handling. So here's what I do. I only put my out of office on and I suppress my promotion. So right now I'm at 8%, which I was doing 12%. And I kind of like where I'm at with 8% just based on what else I have going on right now. It's nice. I'll probably bump it back up to 12% in April, but for now it's 8%, and it's probably I'll probably drop it to like 4 or 5% while I'm at spring training, and I'm gone for 8 days. So I'll probably drop that promotion percentage. I'll put my out of office, but you can still buy cards, but you're going to get that message. This buyer is out until March 21st or whatever. Now I will monitor my sales. And if I still make 100 sales in my first day that I'm gone, it's like, ooh, okay, I might have to shut the store down. I'll probably wait until I get to 300 to 400 sales before I would do that. Which the last couple of years that I've gone now, and I'm doing around the same volume in sales as I was doing a year ago. And I didn't have to shut my store down completely. Those methods kind of helped curtail some sales. So I was still making some money. It certainly wasn't my normal, what I normally do in volume, but money was still coming in. So it wasn't all for naught. So those are some options you have. If this is just, obviously, if you're going to a work conference, obviously this isn't a full-time thing for you. It might not hurt to shut it down. But if you're not doing much volume, you might as well leave it open. And if it kind of just depends on the amount of volume you're comfortable with, and maybe monitor it. If you have the ability to go in during your conference and say it's day 3 and it's like, oh crap, I've made way too many sales, I can't keep up, then maybe choose to shut it down midweek, and that way you can manage what you come home to. Brian says, morning, sales have picked up since the first day I started scheduling to list a card every half hour on eBay. But I also listed a crap load of new PSA slabs. Not sure if it's the cards or the algorithm. 9 times out of 10, it's the cards, not the algorithm. So it's probably what you're listing is, I can list. So here's kind of breaking it down. So yesterday I listed Jackson Holiday, Adley Rushman, Jason Dominguez, some 2023 Bowman's Best with a lot of top prospects and, rookies, 200 cards. That's going to get a lot more traction than if I listed 200 cards of 2020 Topps Heritage. So it's always going to be the cards, but we do need to work the algorithm as well. Cooter needs to sell a bunch since I caught the T206 fever. Yeah. So Cooter, I got to ask, with T206, do you care about the backs? I don't care about the backs. I only care about the fronts. It's like, I would rather have the common back than spend 10x the money on a rare, like, Hindu back. Like, I don't care about the backs. Maybe down the road when I have, more money and I don't know, whatever, maybe I'll care. But right now, today, I don't care about the different backs. Dan picked up 5 nice-sized bargain boxes of inventory yesterday at the card show. Now I don't have to travel 3 hours round trip for the show today. Hey, there you go. Saving money. JW, good morning. Johnny, shutting mine down completely for 4 days this week. I started up the day before I returned to 1-day handling. I do it 5 to 6 times a year. Doesn't seem to hurt me at all. Yeah, and I think everybody has their own. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's basically, it comes down to what you're comfortable with. JW says, was that Mervis that hit a home run yesterday? It was. Mash Mervis. I'm trying. So, how, my feelings on Matt Mervis. I'm trying, because Matt Mervis is like from all indications, I don't think I've ever met him. I've got his autograph, but I don't remember it. All indications he's a great guy. So he's into cards now. So I'm with the trying with the help of my friend in the clubhouse to get Matt Mervis to rip some cards with me. So one night that I'm out at spring training, hopefully I can rip some cards with Mash Mervis. We'll see. We'll see. If he watches it, he's like, fuck you, man. I don't want to rip cards. You shred me. Tea Timer, what's up? Good morning. So that's about all I had for today. It's Sunday. I've got some more shipping to do. Yesterday was a good sales day. It's been kind of when our sales are down, and this kind of goes back to where who said it? The algorithm. Brian. Kind of goes back to the algorithm. Like a lot of times when our sales are down, there's a reason our sales are down, and it's usually not the algorithm. It's not the economy. It's not the tax refunds. It's usually what we're listing. It's usually look in the mirror, and that's the problem with your slow eBay sales. And so the last couple of weeks, why have my sales been down? Well, I've been focused on, I've bought 75,000 cards, a lot of new stuff. Now, there's going to come a time and my sales are down because I've spent more time sorting and shipping what I do have than listing. Yesterday was the first time I've listed anything in several days. But all of a sudden, I've got all this great inventory. When I start listing it, my sale, like, what happened? Why are my sales? Well, because I'm listing good shit. And if you list good shit, you'll make some sales. So we can talk about the algorithm. And yes, the algorithm does have an effect. And it's like, sometimes I list good stuff and it's like, how come I'm not making sales? That damn algorithm again. And all of a sudden, like, I'll have a run. It's really funny. And I'm sure this is based on the countdown. Every listing, even if it's buy it now, has a countdown. It's a 30-day, and it just if it doesn't sell in the first 30 days, it rolls over to a new 30-day clock for the second month, and so on and so forth until it sells or you take it down. And it's funny because I can tell when, say it's, and I know this for a fact because I shipped like 3 or 4 of them, commons from like 2002 tops total. And we're talking like Runelvis Hernandez and who else did I sell? There were like 4 or 5. Box 9, tab AB. It's like, well, it looks like 9AB is at the end of its 30-day cycle because all of a sudden I'll get a run. I'll get a run on my 1976 Fleer football stickers. I've got like 1,000. And I'll get a run like once a month. I'll sell like 10 of them and maybe 1 or 2 sell the rest of the month. And then all of a sudden another 10, 20 sell at the end of the next period. And it's just like, oh, it's easy money. They've been listed in my store for like 4 years and they continue to sell every single month. So it is funny the way that works. And that's not really that's not an algorithm issue. That's just the clock. The ending soonest. People are looking at items that are ending soonest. Let's see. Brian says, I found out about stamp backs on T206. Dude had his law firm stamped on a bunch of my T206 cards. Apparently, he is famous for that, and people seek those out, but PSA still labels it as MK on a slab. That's interesting. Interesting. What's the latest on Brennan Davis? I have not heard. He went into concussion protocol a couple days ago, and I think that's the only game I actually have watched. I tried watching yesterday's game, but for some reason my MLB TV wouldn't allow me to watch it. I don't know if our subscription, so I use my fantasy baseball league. We share the same username. I don't know if they've cracked down on multiple users or if his subscription just ran out. Got to check in the Discord. But he got hit in the in the neck. Like it hit his helmet, but like down here. So he's in concussion protocol. It looked nasty, but he was able to continue playing, but he's now in concussion protocol. I haven't heard what his prognosis is, which really sucks because he's just had such a bad run on injuries. He was and he was having a good spring. Like he finally was starting to break out, and then this happens. Really sucks for him. Cooter says, I'm collecting the player checklist, not the tobacco company. There you go. That's my kind of collector right there. I'm a player checklist kind of guy too. I would rather have 3 players with Piedmont backs over 1 player with a rare back. Same here. Same here. Absolutely 100%. Don't care about the backs at all. Brian says, I have a Hindu redback Thai Cobb and no one will grade it as it's severely damaged. Only 8 slab. I hate that. I have a Joe Tinker. I don't even know what the back is because it's like peeled off because it was in a scrapbook. And it's so like fragile that SGC wouldn't slab it. Really sucks. I have a few cards. So now I'm hesitant on what I buy. And if I'm buying if I see, like if I'm in the vintage tobacco groups on Facebook, and if I see like a big collector who's selling like a real beat up tobacco card, I just assume it won't be slabbed. So I'm very careful with what I buy raw now because I just assume they're selling it raw because it can't be slabbed. And I have which I got it for super cheap, and I don't care that the SGC won't slab it. It's the Turkey Red. I think it's Frank Chance, and it's just beat to. I think I paid like $60 for it, and it's like 25% of it's missing. It's like cut and falling apart. SGC won't slab it, and but I'm okay. For $60, like it's obviously authentic. I wish they would just slab it. Like if they think it's authentic, just slab it. I don't care. I'll take my chances. Brian says Polar Bear is my favorite. Blackback is sweet. The blackbacks are pretty cool, but I'm not going to pay a premium because like my display case, like you don't even know like what unless it says it on and I don't even know if it does. Actually it probably does. It does. So like is that a 3? Yeah, I've got a 3 in there. And it's a sweet Caporal back. Brian says, shows that these companies aren't really authenticators. Sotheby's would grade a rock as part of a Dead Sea Scrolls, but PSA can't figure out a card. Come on. I agree. Like, it's freaking authentic. And I think the excuse at least SGC uses is it's too fragile. And so they're afraid it'll damage the card in the slab process. It's like, do you see the card? It's pretty damn damaged. Just slab it. I'll take my chances. Like, it's not going to blow up. The card's not going to explode. And it's not going to turn. I don't think it'll catch on fire. Hope not. Hope they have safeguards against that. But it's not going to turn into ash. You're not going to slab it. I don't think that'll happen. I'm no chemist. Just slab it. Brian says, LOL, SGC said that to my face. It's too fragile. Yeah, what the hell? It's too fragile to put in a slab? I don't like that. Hey, maybe with Collector's Universe buying SGC, maybe that'll change. Just slab my damn card. Like, I would pay a premium. If it's too fragile, give me the fragile premium. Okay, instead of paying $19, I'll pay $29 or $49. I'd pay $50 to get some of this stuff slabbed because I know it's authentic. Stuke, what's up? Good morning. So there you go. That's what I had for today. If you're off to a card show, enjoy the day. It's really damn windy here. That sucks. There's nothing worse. Actually, there's a lot of things worse. But just for today, wind. I hate wind. And I know it creates like power and stuff with windmills and shit. But I think this dates back to my paper route days when I had a paper route. I had 2 paper routes, not at the same time, but I delivered for 2 different newspapers growing up. My first paper route was a fun one because you got to collect. It was my introduction to sales, which it's pretty easy to sell a product that's already been sold, right? So you had this like booklet. This was like And this was in the 90s, but it felt very 1950. It was very Leave It to Beaver. You had this and you had March, April, May and tickets, and it's like, I'm here to collect. And of course, you have there were a couple derelicts that never paid. So I always tried to can you pay for next month also? Because I don't want you skipping out on me. So that was the Dispatch, the Moline Dispatch, which was an afternoon paper at the time. But they went to mornings. So I had to quit my paper out because it was mornings. I didn't have to quit, but my mom's like, I don't think you need to be doing a paper route on a school day. So I quit that, and then there was an opening for the Kewanee Star. I was the backup, and then when I delivered for the Moline Dispatch, I was a backup carrier for the Kewanee Star Courier. And then when Chris Ort was the paper boy, he got into high school, and this was your small town. This is what you did. This was the trajectory of a small town kid. You're a derelict child, and then you get a paper route. And then once you get into high school, you get a real job at the grocery store. And I followed that trajectory. I was a paper boy, Moline Dispatch. Chris Ort delivered the Kewanee Star Courier. He got to high school, got his real job at the IGA, and I took over for the Kewanee Star Courier paper route. And then when I got to high school, I quit the Star Courier paper route, and I got a job at the IGA. That's what you do in Anawan, Illinois. You deliver papers, you get to high school, you work at the grocery store. And I'm going to tell you, nothing ever happened like Gilbert Grape. There's none of that going on in Anawan. Porter's in the house. Good morning. Terry delivered the Dispatch in the late 70s. Very cool. Very cool. Duke delivered the Minneapolis Sunday Tribune in a small town, North Dakota. Nice. Yeah, and so the reason I started talking about paper routes was because the wind. I hated the wind because you've got that damn baggie across your shoulder and it's rubbing your neck. And like the Wednesday, I think it was the Wednesday paper was like loaded with coupons. My mom would drive me around on the weekends because it was a morning. It was morning on Saturday, Sunday. And I think my mom probably drove me on the early mornings because like Johnny Gosh and like the Paperboy abductions in the 80s, Stranger Danger. So my mom drove me around on the weekends. And then I got a bike or I had a bike obviously, but my dad put saddlebag. I don't know. He found saddlebags probably, I don't know, from one of his buddies or a garage sale or something. And he's like, how about so I had saddlebags to deliver my papers. Woo. That was heaven. No more heavy bag over my shoulder. See, I was always trying to find a way out of manual labor and carrying heavy shit. Like, what if I would have more energy if I didn't carry this heavy bag and I let the bike do? Oh, it helped my legs though. I just had a heavier bike to pedal. Although I guess the weights, it's just dispersed differently. It's the same weight because instead of the papers being on my body, which is on the bike, they're just directly on the bike. So it's just behind me instead of centrally focused. So yeah, my paper route, and I hated the wind. I loved snow for the most part. Because I would there was a portion. So my paper route was the north side of Anawan, was basically like Route 6. You got a map, Route 6 and north. That was the whole small part of that small town. And so I would go up all the way to and you make your maps, like what's the most efficient way to do it. See, I think that's what led to my, how do you become more efficient? I think that all started with my paper route in junior high. And so it ended, and so I'd go north, and then I'd come back west because I lived on like the very west side of town. And then in the far northwest corner, there was it was almost rural. Well, it was. I mean, the whole town's rural, but it's like country. So Odetta, was an older lady that lived at the very end of the street, which was backed into cornfields everywhere. So you could get pedaling, and then there was like, it comes to like a T, and there was always like a big snowdrift. And I didn't have any papers left because it was like my last delivery. So I would just race down this dead end street and hit the snowbank and then go over the handlebar. That was like the funnest thing. Hit a snowbank, go over the handlebars, and land in snow. So that was my fun stuff. Paper routes. But I hated the wind because it was a bitch to pedal against the wind. Tea Timer got a paper on the roof one time. Lady chewed me out. I felt so bad. So we were not like, it wasn't, what was the early 90s show with the REM song, Get a Life with Chris somebody, the comedian. And so stand in the place where you were. And so he's like an adult paper boy, and he's just throwing the newspaper. We didn't do that. We didn't throw newspapers. We put them, like, we pulled up into the driveway, kickstand, walked it to the door. There's either a paper box for it or Chris Elliott, thank you, get a life, Chris Elliott, or you put it inside the door. Very appreciative. And when you did that, you got more Christmas money. Like, I made out like a bandit at Christmas time with Christmas, but like I was making, like, some people would give me $20 in like 1994. Like, what's that today? What's $20? Let's get the inflation calculator out. $20 bill for a 12-year-old. That's huge money. All right. 1994. I know I was delivering paper because I remember following the O.J. Simpson trial from my newspaper deliveries. That's $41 today. I feel like that's big money even for a kid today. Let's see. Zach says, I bought those saddlebags from you and I misplaced them, didn't I? Bronco, what's going on? How did you handle it when you oversold the number of papers you had available to deliver? That was actually a problem sometimes. Sometimes you would get shorted papers. And so in the instance when that happened, so you would get shorted. So say I had 40 papers on my route. Usually they would give you like 42 or 43 because they would give you extras to like try to sell potential customers. So it'd be like, they would say, okay, we're going to give you 5 extra papers this week, deliver them to the same house with like a note that says this is complimentary, to try to get, and of course there'd be like a subscription thing on it. So you would pick out 5 people that you knew, or like in my case, I would use one of those to give to my neighbor. And then in turn, he would tape professional wrestling for me on VHS because I didn't have cable. So it worked out. So in the instance that they only gave me, say, 39 papers and I had 40 on my route, I would have to go to the grocery store, and usually you count them. So I would count them. It's like, oh, they only gave me 39 papers. So I would have to go to the grocery store, the IGA, which was like on my route anyway. So I would go to the grocery store and I would buy a paper, and then I would have to call the newspaper. There wasn't email back then in 1994. So you'd have to call your person and like, hey, I got shorted. I only had 39 papers. I had to buy one. And so they would add 50 cents to your paycheck. So that's how it worked. So that did happen, though. That did happen. If you were shorted papers, it wasn't very, usually they gave you more papers than what you needed. But it did happen. Mark Hoyle's in the house. Good morning. Just talking paper routes. So that's what I had for today. We're at the 1 hour mark. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Visit my eBay store. Yesterday, I added Jason Dominguez, Jackson Holiday, Adley Rushman, and some 2023 Bowman's Best. Going to be doing some shipping today. And let's see, this week, probably going to be adding some more Bowman prospects. Well, I'll be adding Julio Rodriguez, Bobby Witt, some of those singles as well this week. Zach and Porter says not just $20, but in that area of the country, it's about $100. That's true. Rural Illinois, it's not just Yeah, that money goes a lot further in Anawan than it does in Madison, Chicago cities. Worst job at the newspaper, managing the carrier, right? Oh, this little pipsqueak says he got shorted. I know we put enough papers in his bag. Little pipsqueak. All righty. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, visit my eBay store. Back at it tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central. So programming for this week, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. No Hobby Evolution on Saturday. I'll be at the Kane County Fairgrounds in St. Charles, Illinois. Come on out and see me. I'll have at least, trying to do the math here, at least I'll have about at least 15,000 new baseball cards in my quarter boxes, at least. So I'm going to try to put one more. Actually, I'll probably have about 20,000. And hopefully a new football box. It's going to be baseball centric in St. Charles next weekend, because that's what I've been working on here lately. So come see me in St. Charles, Kane County Fairgrounds, this coming Saturday. And then I'll review the show on Sunday. Monday, a week from tomorrow, I have some guests coming over with a little film crew coming over. So I'll have more details. I'm going to wait until they start doing their part. So that's next Monday. And then Tuesday, no Hobby Evolution, because I'll be on a plane to Phoenix for spring training 2024. Can't wait. I will plan to go live at least a couple days from Mesa. So I'm not sure when. There's a night game on the day that I get there. The Cubs, I think, play the Brewers at night at Sloan Park. So I probably won't go live Wednesday morning because it'll be a late night for me. But maybe Thursday, I'll go live. So I'll try to go live at least twice, maybe 3 times from Mesa at spring training. So with that, like, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.